Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the 20s Detox. I'm Bianca, your host, where we dive into all the things that I'm learning and unlearning in my 20s to elevate this decade. Today's guest is somebody who has mastered the art of vulnerability. She is the creator and host of the hit podcast Skinny Dipping, where she leads a global community through the journey of shadow work, self-healing, and spiritual expansion. If at any point this episode resonates with you, please share it with a friend who just gets it. Before we dive in, I do have a little gift for you, just to say thank you for anybody who listened in 2025, and honestly, anybody who's just supported me over the last few years. Since January is a bit of a tough time, I'm giving away the winter chapter of my Align Your Life with the Seasons guide for free. Winter is all about slowing down and planning with intention, kind of like you are quietly elevating your life and building your dreams. So to start your year in alignment with the season's energy, just click the link in the show notes below and grab your free copy today. All right, guys, let's get into the episode with Kela Rose from Skinny Dipping. Kela, welcome to the 20s Detox podcast. I am so excited I'm beyond excited. I think before we just get into it, I just have to do a little side thing that you're kind of the reason why I started podcasting in the first place.
That's too much. I'm gonna cry.
And guys, beside her podcast, Skinny Dipping, is incredible. I always recommend to go listen to her podcast because it's basically one of the only ones I religiously listen to this day.
It's because you're a smart girl, honestly. I feel like that's really it. The hot intellectual girlies love Skinny Dipping. I don't know if there's any other ones that I love out there that give girly vibes, but also deep intellectual.
Facts.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of the girly podcasts are super surface level, and then a lot of the deep ones are but that's why it's amazing that people like you are that, are starting more, because we need more pods on that to we need that. So I'm so grateful you started this, because I love everything you've been doing. I'm obsessed. I'm also obsessed with your newsletters.
Thank you. Those newsletters is the perfect balance for me with art and, you said, intellectual. It's it hits both sides of the brain. But I remember in my fourth year university getting into podcasting, we're listening to it because it was still a pandemic and I was finishing my degree and I was alone in my apartment. I'm I got to do something while I finish work. And I was listening to the very first season of Skinny Dipping. I was around my apartment cleaning up. And I can only, as I've seen the very first season, I've seen how many other people have kind of stepped into a similar role that I have. So how does it feel for you to know that you've kind of encouraged all these other people to have that voice or do this too? Podcast camp was another layer up, but how does that feel?
Yeah, I think that is the best feeling. I think knowing that just by me speaking my truth and being brave enough to do that, it just shows others that it is possible for them too. I think that's what it really does. I don't think, it's anything special that I'm doing. I think it's just I'm a mirror to those people like you who already have that calling, who already have that purpose to be oh, it's possible for me too. I get to do this as well, and I have something to say. And I think that's the number one goal of everything that I create. I think it's one of my main purposes on earth is not I want to be a star, obviously, but I don't just want to be a star. I want to show other people that they can be a star and they can be a lighthouse and they can be the ones sending out the messages for people to receive, because we all have that divine interconnected channel. We do all that have that gift. I talk about it in my episode I released today, actually. And it's so funny because somebody messaged me last night being it's crazy that everything you share, every time you share it, it's the exact thing that I need to hear. And I talk about this in the episode I just released, where I'm I'm not some crazy magician, psychic, yes, I'm kind of a witch, but not really. The truth is we all just are connected to collective consciousness, and we all have this gift. Women specifically are oracles. We just have the ability to know, to just get it. It gives me chills in the side of my body when I said that, because it's we just have the ability to we know. We see it.
Yeah.
We see through it. And we all have that ability. So the fact that other people can see like, oh, it's possible, and it can also be a career, and it can be a passion, and it can be something that I do and just allow it to be a form of expression, like that is the greatest gift ever. Like from skinny dipping, the people who have started their podcast and who have felt inspired to start not even their podcast, it's not just another podcast, it's even people who have felt inspired to share any of their businesses. I feel like for me, spiritual entrepreneurship is huge. And that's why I'm so passionate about Podcast Camp and about skinny dipping, like inspiring other people to just go for their dreams. That's really it. Like, I'm like, you can do anything, but if it inspires them to do the thing that they wanted to do, I'm like, that will make that, like, I can't even think too much about that, because that is going to make me burst into full blown tears. That's like everything I could ever want. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dream. Thank you
I
for that
hear you.
reflection also.
Of course. Yeah, I totally hear you with that. And it's really wild that you were saying women are oracles, and how I see it in the comments being like, I was thinking about this, this is an alignment. And I swear, like, there have been things that you mentioned where maybe at the exact same time we posted this same thought. And I'm like, girl, I'm not fucking copying you. Like, this is crazy.
No, it's so real. I even, yeah, somebody was like, oh my God, I just released an episode on friendship, and like somebody that I know from Podcast Camp. And I was like, wait, like, I hope no one ever thinks that I think that somebody's copying me. Like, that would be crazy. But I get the same thing where I'm like, whoa. One time I actually straight up like did message this girl, and I was like, hey, this seems like verbatim what I said, because it like was. And she straight up told me, she's like, no, girl, I promise it wasn't. And I was like, I believe you. And now we're friends. And like, and we're friends on the
Crazy.
internet. And her name's Iman, I think, and she's from LA. She's super cool and a TikToker and has amazing wisdom, and love her vibe. And I literally messaged her and I was like, hey, not to like hate on you or anything. Like, I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just wondering if you felt inspired by mine and that like led to yours, because the wording was crazy. And then she was like, no, like this happened from this experience. And I was like, download came from my experience. And that's why it's the collective consciousness, because it's like, we're just women who are oracles, who are observing, right? So the things are happening in the theme of the collective consciousness, that the events are unfolding, and we're just noticing and observing and putting words to it. Yeah, it's all very crazy and cool. And I love that we're on the same wavelength. Like, that's so cool. And I think it is just such a message. Like, people should feel inspired to share their gifts, because it's like, once you start sharing, you start getting affirmed that what you're doing is important. And then you're going to be like, whoa, I didn't realize that my thoughts had so much power.
Yes. And I love the community that I feel like this work or taking this approach to social media can create. We were like, some of my friends are like, my social media is crazy. I'm like, my social media is like healing, spiritual. Of course, it's like the odd crazy ones, but for the most part, it's like, it's what you say, which is like soulful media, or soul. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Social. It's like social, but like SOUL.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And actually, the first time I heard you say this was a podcast camp that we did like 2 years ago or last year or something. I don't even remember.
Yeah. Maybe 2 years ago.
Maybe 2 years ago.
I think, yeah.
I loved this, never forgot it. And then when you put a podcast episode a few weeks ago, I'm like, we got to talk about this, because this is like something I actually, despite what we were just talking about, how like a lot of things will kind of be cycled through social media, and like a lot of different creators will talk about a similar thing. Like, I haven't heard this take ever, where you say, I don't do discipline, I do devotion. And it's like a total switch. And that like hit me the first time I heard it. I'm like, that is the way. Do you remember when that first came to you, being like, this is what it is?
Honestly, no. Like the exact moment, I definitely just started writing about it. But I think I saw somebody not talking about the difference between discipline and devotion, but I saw somebody talking about devotion, just like devotion to their work, devotion to their practice. And I think I was like, wow, that word really resonates with me. I was like, whoa. And that's when I kind of got into being like, oh, this is like the answer I've been searching for. Because I think as an entrepreneur and somebody who is a go-getter, you know, I feel like you get it, like grew up being like a go-getter, wanting to like create, wanting to achieve. I think then going on our spiritual journey and being like, oh wait, that's not sustainable. I found myself going back into like, oh, but now I don't have any structure. I don't have any discipline. I didn't have any, I know I just wasn't committed to my word and what I said I wanted with my life and what I said that I wanted my goals to be and what I wanted to create in this world. Like my actions wouldn't match up to that because I was rebelling against this part of myself that felt so resentful towards discipline. I still feel so resentful on the days where I feel like I am like being a warden to myself. Like I don't have any like flow or choice. Like I start to go crazy, like especially like with undiagnosed ADHD, they literally talk about this, that it can just like be a thing where our brains just don't want to conform, or my brain doesn't want to like conform to being told what to do or somebody else's schedule. And like I think that really comes from this deep knowing, like this deep intuitive soulful just soul remembering that like I know exactly what the next step is. I know exactly what the next path is. Like my soul like signed up for this and like I know what's next, and I just want to have that space to have choice. And I think that's where that resentment for discipline kind of came in. It just didn't leave room for my intuition. It didn't leave room for the universe to surprise me. It didn't leave room for things to unfold because I was being so controlling. And I think discipline was control. And for me, as somebody with anxiety, I really struggle with control. So yeah, then I think when I was presented with the idea of devotion just in the word, I really felt called to it. I was like, wow, like maybe this is the answer, because I realized that I actually have the most success and, you know, I can close the most deals or like, you know, just attract something really exciting and magnetize something really exciting when I actually create space. So I feel like devotion for me was like, oh, when I'm moving from this place of self-love, like devotion versus like not self-hatred, but just like self-doubt. Like I feel like for me, discipline was like self-doubt because I felt like I had to control if I wanted to create. So then devotion came in and was like, you can love yourself as you are and you can move forward. You can do things in cycles. You can do things in seasons. You can take space to rest. You can act from a place of inspired action, but you can only act from a place of inspired action if you create the space to do that. And that is like the long story short of like why I was like, wow, devotion like made something in my brain click. Like doesn't matter like how other people interpret it as, like it made something inside my entire being align and click. And I think that's why that TikTok consistently went viral. And then I posted it to YouTube and it went crazy viral, The Art of Devotion, because I think it makes it click for people in a way that it never has before. And that's why I really wanted to share about it, because I was like, oh, this clicks. It just, I don't know. It's like what you said. It just changed something where I was like, oh, I don't have to do things in this old paradigm. Like I can do things differently. So that's a long story of how it came to be.
I love it. I love it because you're totally right. I think I was searching for a way to be entrepreneurial that felt aligned with me, and I couldn't find a word. And then when you said devotion, I was like, that's the word. It felt more like the word for me that allowed me to be in this world. Because otherwise, when it was discipline, I'm like, I'm not able to be in this world as much as I kind of feel like I want to. Like, I'm not that type of person. However, I was when I was like in university, which like going back to that time when I'm like listening to your podcast and everything, I was like cycle upon cycle of burnout and exhaustion and doing things out of like duty and fear and nothing that really was in alignment. And I resisted any sort of similarities to that, even though what I'm creating now does feel aligned. I can like slip into some habits of like being a little bit too much of a workaholic and not letting myself be. Devotion is a great reminder to be like, hey, I got to make sure I'm taking care of me too. Like I literally had a conversation with my inner child the other day because I was like driving to see my friends. I'm like, what's going on? Why are you stressed out? Like what's going on with you? And I just had like a conversation with my inner child. She's like, you're just not having any fun. Can you just relax and like have some fun, fill up your creative cup, because you cannot do what you're doing without your creative cup full. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I hear you. Got to do this one thing because I booked it, but I promise to do this when I get back. And I did.
Yeah.
Devotion allows that talk too. You know?
I know so many interesting things. I feel like I have to jump in before like I lose it. But I feel like when you talked about doing things out of duty and obligation, I feel like that is one of the biggest things that is the difference between discipline and devotion. It's like discipline feels like I have to do this. This is my duty. This is my obligation. And I was reading this book by Osho, who is like a famous like poet, thought leader. I don't know if you've heard of that. I don't even really know much about him, but I've just seen his words. And I'm reading his book right now, and he was saying like the most selfless thing that you can do in this life, the most unselfish and selfless thing that you can do in this life is actually be selfish, but be selfish from a place of not as in like hoarding, greeting. No, being selfish is in you do what you want when you want it. And when you do things for others, when you show up for others, you're doing it because you want it. You do it because you have space for it. You show up for that thing because that's what you want to do, not out of obligation. Because obligation and duty is actually one of the most draining things. And I think it can actually lead to more burnout than busyness. I think busyness doesn't always lead to burnout if what you're doing is in alignment and feels like choice and feels like what you want to do. But I think it also makes sense because so many of us feel expectations and pressures from society and from our upbringing and just from honestly our own mental cages that we have created that are like, you know, the go-getter, the hard worker, the productivity guilt that comes in if you're not doing those things, like doing what you want to do when you want to do it. Because I think that's what really leads to this like feeling of choice. Devotion is choice. Devotion is I'm moving from this place of inspired action. The thing is, you can be doing the exact same action on the outside. I could be, you know, doing my emails. I could be writing down my ideas for the podcast. And I can come from this energy of, I have to do this. And like, oh my God, this is an obligation and this is a duty. And then it shows up in my work. And I see that. I see that in my work. I see that it doesn't feel fully in my truth and in my authenticity when I feel like I have to versus when I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to create some loose structure, but I'm also going to give myself time and choice and options and kind of try to find that little happy medium. And eventually I feel like when I act from that place of devotion, and I could be doing the exact same thing, doing my emails, writing down ideas, sitting down and journaling, whatever it is, doing my research. But if I'm doing it from that place of excitement of I want to be doing this, of this is my purpose, this is what lights me up, like I see it in my work as well. I see that it reflects in work I'm truly proud of, like that I truly am like, I resonate with this when I take my time. And I think there can just also be a pressure in society to like rush and to produce. And I think that is our downfall, is the productivity guilt and the urge to produce and just like what that means for us. And the truth is so many great artists, like back in the day, like they only produced a couple great works in their lifetime. Like, why are we expecting ourselves to like to create like 5 to 10 amazing things a year and then keep going and then never rest?
It's the modern thing. My sister's a painter. She's an artist. And I really think she teaches me to slow down because that type of work, especially if it's an oil painting, requires time. Whereas I do all my work on my computer, and that could be like, sped up as fast as possible, a new AI thing so that you can have like another bot to help you speed up things if you don't have somebody to work with you. And it's like, you're never working fast enough in this world, it seems. And I love the reminders. Once again, the only way I can know is when I get off this computer and I get back into what real art outside looks like, you know, like the seasons and how they change. And you go to a museum and you see the paintings up there, you see, you know, somebody write music. Like, it's not a fast process on these like physical, tangible things more so than the digital world. It doesn't make the digital world any less like amazing and beautiful. I just think it can be like so quick to get into that. So I remind myself being like, hey,
that's a beautiful point.
fill
Like
up
the
my cup
medium
looking out there. Right?
Yeah. And the medium of like the internet ether and even like computers, microphones, everything plugs in, beep, boop, bop. Like it just creates art that feels like it has to be fast paced. But I think art just isn't supposed to be that. And we're also just not supposed to be that. Like, I'm just like,
No.
this is why so many people are in shutdown. I think that's what makes me so sad and you know, why it's hard for people to even think about moving from a place of devotion, because they're like, oh, if I chose to do what I wanted to do, I would want to rot and rest right now because I'm so burnt out and so tired. I feel like so many people are in that hypoarousal, that shutdown, because things just got so fast paced for us in a way that like we were not ready for as humans, like biologically.
Yeah. Agreed. You use the word choice a lot in how you describe devotion. Do you mind like explaining a little bit more of what that really means?
Yeah. It's so interesting. I guess sorry, I'm just giggling at my dog outside. She's like passed out. But choice is just feeling am having time and space, and I know that there's certain things that I want to get done because it's going to move things forward on whatever I'm working on whatever the bigger goal is, or if that goal is to like make money to provide for myself, or like create more experience, make more money so I can create more experiences that will like, you know, help me in life and make me have fun and everything like that. I think choice is just being like, okay, when do I get to do it? How do I get to do it? And why do I get to do it? It's interesting though, because even when I'm like saying this, I have this like contradicting part that's kind of coming in. And I'm such a Gemini moon because I feel like devotion, it is having choice, but also having too much choice, I feel like leads to decision fatigue. That's why I'm like, it can never be either or. Like it is
No.
always the paradox. It is always
Yeah.
walking that tightrope and that middle line. And I guess devotion is choice, but I feel like above all, it's just doing things from a place of integrity, and it's doing things from a place of joy and excitement and, you know, wanting to do something, while also knowing that your mood is not always going to tell you like what is best for you. So, you know, for example, if I'm really feeling like I don't want to record, sometimes recording is the answer. And I think that's just comes from developing a relationship with yourself where I'm like, okay, this isn't discipline because it's still coming from this place of like true self-love and self-conversation. And I guess that's where choice comes in. Is like you said, when you were like driving, you're going to see your friends, you're like, we booked this thing, but oh God, like I'm having this anxiety part arise within me right now. And just having that conversation with your inner child and seeing what's coming up and making yourself feel heard, I feel like you can still hold yourself accountable. But if you're having those conversations with self, it's going to create this like feeling of choice. Like you're like, okay, this is my choice. I'm choosing to do this. Like no one else is forcing me to do this.
Yeah.
I am taking full radical accountability. And I think that's what choice is. Yeah.
I love that.
Super interesting. That's such a good question.
Yeah, because I heard you say that a few times and I loved it. It like it had power, it had weight to it. So I'm like, it has some significance with this devotion. But I love that you brought up, that made me think back to that memory of me driving to go see my friends. Because for me, I think after I have a full day work, what I've been working with like a life coach recently is how do I incorporate more time for play and socializing with friends? Even though I might really feel tired, or I might be like, "Ugh, I don't really know if I want to do it." Like every single time afterwards, I feel amazing because I'm with my friends, people I love, you know? And I do really love that point that you said, like, even though I don't feel like totally ready or like all the check boxes are checked off for me to record this moment, like, I know that this is going to be good for me. So
no, it's
I don't
so
know, I
true.
like that,
I've been
right?
on the same journey, like with the friendships and like being like, "Oh, is this my intuition telling me I need to stay home? Or is like this literally like my inability to face discomfort and like wanting to leave my house right now and wanting to be in my own
Literally.
space, or like wanting to self-isolate?" Like I definitely feel that so deeply. And I've been like forcing myself to be like, I need to make plans. Plans and
Yes.
structure also support devotion, like fully.
Yes.
Fully. And I had to realize that the hard way because, you know, if we don't have plans, if we don't have structure, then it can create that decision fatigue. So it's like, okay, I need like a skeleton, and then I also need to have flow in the day. And I think that's like the perfect medicine, especially as women, you know, to have that, especially depending where we're at in our cycle and everything. But I love that you say that you're like making an effort to do it even if you don't want to, because yeah, devotion sometimes is also showing up even when you don't want to, because the devotion is not to like you and your current mood and how you feel in this current moment. No, the devotion is to your greater divine purpose, babe. Like the
Yeah.
devotion is literally to like the art that you're channeling, the idea that chose you. That's like to God, to source, to yourself, like to your true self, not the self of, oh, I don't feel like it. Like the true self of what you really desire. That's who the devotion is to versus the devotion to the current moment version of you. Does that make sense?
Yes. And you're all connecting it to like love.
That's
That
what
was
devotion
probably
is.
the biggest thing I took from it is like you just love yourself. Am I doing this because I love myself or I don't like myself?
Exactly. Am I moving from love, or am I moving from attention? Am I moving from love, or am I moving from fear? Am I moving from love, or am I moving from hatred? Yeah. No, the devotion is really that just place of love. And also at the same time, it feels good to like put really specific words to it because it can feel really just meta. It's like, okay, what is love? Like we all
Yeah.
feel it. So it feels good to like put these words to it and be like, okay, what does it actually like look like, you know?
I
Yeah.
like that. I love it. And discipline for me, with how I've experienced it in the past, I tried it. I kept coming back to it because it was what I'd see online all the time. And I was like, honestly, fuck all these routines. Like, fuck all this. Like, it's not
Yeah.
for me. It's not for me. But at the same time, I do like structure.
Yes.
You mentioned in one of your podcasts, it's like you need the rocks with the water to flow around it. Like immediately I'm like,
Yes.
that's what it is, you know? And it is that balance of that like yin yang, feminine, masculine energies that each of us have. And I love how so many women are showing almost like more of a balance lately than I've ever seen. And I've said this before, but like I'll say it again because I don't know if I've shared this with you, but like when I've constantly noticed it in myself that like I really feel like it's a human thing that we're going to experience both ends of like the extreme before we can be like, I know how to find this balance. I used to be way too much on the structure, disciplined, and then I was not disciplined at all and kind of like floating everywhere and didn't really know what was happening and felt really like overwhelmed because I'm like, what am I doing? And then slowly but surely I feel it's like this like spiral of like finding a center almost of knowing when I come out of alignment or out of that like balance, you know?
Totally. Yeah. And I think healing is just being able to pull yourself back to that center part of the spiral faster, you know, like and not falling off for too long. I so agree. I feel like we have to experience like both extremes and both ends to truly know what balance looks like. And yeah, I mean, I think it's in just yin and yang. Some of the oldest like spiritual literatures like really come back to like extreme versus like the middle way. Like in Taoism, like in Buddhism, like it all comes back to
Yeah.
that like middle way, which is really cool that, to know so long ago they're experiencing the exact same things as humans are supposed to discover, which is those extremes to those balances and yeah, the lessons along the way. I'm so curious, like yeah, what you do to create those like rock structure for the water to flow. Cause I'm like still, I mean, it seems like such a practice. Some days I feel like I have it figured out, and other days I'm like, feel like I still am going to either side of the extremes. I'm like, honestly, you should give the advice for the girlies. Cause I feel like you do a good job at it, honestly, like in practice,
Really?
in
Well,
embodiment.
I feel like I'm like you, Kayla. Like I don't know. Like I and to be honest, I think that's a part of being a woman. Like I think we are meant to be like that and to like go through these cycles of like the extremes to find the balance and the extremes and the balance. Like that's literally our menstrual cycles.
Literally, and did the death and
So,
rebirth and the constant up
yeah.
leveling. No, it's so true. And I think earlier when you were talking, I remember thinking women in general are just not supposed to do the same thing every single day. I think I literally wrote this in my notes app last night. I was like, was I channeling our conversation? Oh my God, it's 111 on the clock. Oh my
Wow.
God, wait.
I think that's saying yes.
I mean, like, I'm like, wait, that's crazy. I need to find it. No, I'll find it later. But I like remember writing it down because I was like, women are not supposed to do the same thing every day. And that's why I feel so confused because I like grew up in a society that taught me to like be how men wanted us to be, or like in entrepreneurship or in the school system, it's very toxic masculine. And even when it's not toxic masculine and it's like masculine, it's still very, very, very masculine every single day. Same time, same place, same structure. You know what to expect. Like that is just so in alignment with the sun. That's so in alignment with the circadian rhythm, like the 24-hour
Yeah.
hour cycle that men have. And I just feel like it's like women like us have been put on the earth to like look at this and be like, what the fuck? This is not built for us. Like,
Yeah.
and then
No,
being like,
seriously.
but what do we build? And like, how do we do it?
Yeah.
Because no one's telling us how. Like, no one
Mm.
is showing us how to live in this way that, for me, something that really helps actionably is like the days of the week align with different astrological signs. That's something that's super helpful for me. Are you into that? Or have we talked
Are you
about this
talking
before?
about like the like moon is like Monday
Monday?
moon?
Yeah, so like
Tuesday.
for example, you can see in the Latin root because I like speak Spanish. So like lunes is Monday,
I
which is
speak
lunar.
French, so like I got it from that
Okay,
too.
helps create a little bit of structure where I'm like, okay, Mondays, like even though everybody's starting their week, like I'm not starting my week yet. Like
Mm,
I am still in my moon energy, and I like to do like things that are a little bit more like getting me ready for the week on Monday, as well as just like letting myself do whatever I want to do and flow. And then Tuesdays, like today, is Mars. Like, so I'm always like, let me grind, let me hop on meetings, let me talk to people. Same with
admin work.
Wednesday. Wednesday's Mercury. I'm like, okay, can I do my emails? Like, can I voice memo people? Like, can I, get plan Gemini Mercury organized? Like, and then Thursdays are a little bit of a raffle day, like whatever I need to do, if that's play or work. It's kind of, and then Fridays is like usually play and then like see my friends or like go out to dinner with my partner
Yeah.
because it's Venus, it's Friday. And actually, Saturdays are interesting because Saturdays are Saturn ruled. So Saturn is, responsibility, but it also is reward. So I feel like if I worked really hard during the week or like I got a lot done, like usually Saturday is like a reward, play all day, don't even touch my phone, social media. Or if I feel like I had a really chill week, Saturday will come and I'll be like, Saturn is kicking in. I feel like I want to like get these things done I didn't get done yet. And that inspired action hits me. And then Sunday's usually like reset day, see my mom, like
Yeah.
recoup, maybe journal like about my week. And I think that has helped me create some structure, but I'm like, how do we create structure in a world that wasn't built for our cyclical beings, you know?
So difficult. I love that you mentioned that though, because I do the same thing. Like Tuesdays, I do my finances and like admin work. Wednesdays, I'll try
Yes.
and do like more communication styled, or like ideally, it would be a great time to do podcast recordings because like it's great for communication.
Totally.
Thursdays as well, expansion, Jupiter. When Fridays, I try and do date night because it's like the
Yes.
romantic time, right? Like that's when I like
Or I like to dress up and like
dress
get
up,
pretty.
like
I'm
I'll wear
like,
like red or like pink, like something vibrant. And Saturdays, I usually plan my week. That's when I like dedicate. I plan my whole next week of like things that I'd need, definitely like deadlines that would need to get done. But Sunday is a no touch anything. Like Sunday is me with life
I
day.
love that.
Yeah.
I
And I think
love
it
that.
allows it to be that like feminine, fun. And like I think more than anything, it ties into what you're talking about with devotion and choice because it's a broader goal of the day. And
Mhm.
like I had the choice to be like, I'm gonna do my finances today.
Yes. No, totally. And you like know you want to get them done, but it's like, okay, but you're getting them done on your terms. Like,
Yeah, like it's I don't know, like it's a good balance of like with that flow there.
and finances is also a perfect example of devotion because it's like, well, there could be this part of yourself that's like, I do not want to look. Like, I know when
Mm,
I am struggling with my finances, like, I get so avoidant and I'm like, I can't even deal with you guys right now. Like, I'm like, I
yeah.
can't. But the truth is, what we need when we feel those ways is to look at it. And it's that perfect example. Are you moving from fear? Are you like, oh God, I got to do this, blah, blah. Or is it like, I know that, like, if I like look at my finances, I know my bank account will grow. I know if I look at my finances, I'll become more financially responsible. And that's how I get rich. And that's like that place of reframing and like self love and being like,
Yes.
I'm moving from this place because I know that this is what I want and I know that this is what's best for me. And yeah, so that's like a great example of the devotion versus discipline in finances too.
Other than work and finances, where do you see devotion showing up a lot in your life?
My God, definitely like habits, like definitely habits of like working out,
Yeah.
feeding myself in the way that I need, drinking enough water. I feel like those like health habits are the ways that I see devotion needing to show up in my life because I definitely used to be like a bar teacher and I would like work out all the time. In college, I was crazy. Oh my God, I would like go to the gym for like
Yeah.
3 hours and I never really struggled. I think it was, I never really struggled with like, I wasn't going because of body image. I was more just going because of like, I don't know, just like yeah, like energy and like just needing to do something and needing to be active all the time and always needing to be activated and on. And so I was like, if I have
Mm,
nothing else to do, I might as well be at the gym. um,
right.
but then, yeah, and then I think I went into being like, okay, like now my body is burnt out and tired and like taking a break, but then realizing like how much I need movement and how it's like a basis of my mental health. And I did go through a couple years where I really struggled to be devoted to movement and to, and this is going to be such a great example of choice because, yeah, I then was like, okay, like maybe it was maybe like 7 years ago, I was in college grinding, right? And then I came back, COVID, I was crazy because I was like teaching online Pilates classes and I was like, we're just really into movement. And then I think after COVID, getting into more like friend time again, like and work, and I just found myself losing my movement practice for a couple years. And I would still be on, but it just wasn't consistent enough to help with my mental health in the way that I actually like physically needed to for my like brain hormones, for the endorphins in my brain. So then I feel like maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was like, I really want to be devoted, And now this year, I really, since devotion, like I was struggling because I was being so disciplined before. And when I got back into working out consistently, I definitely went back into like the discipline and just like making myself feel bad and feel guilty if I didn't do it. And I think that's also a sign that you're in discipline, is if you're like leading with like guilt and shame if you don't do something. And yeah, that tension there. So I think this year, as I began to discover the concept of devotion and incorporating that into my life with movement and with my health habits, I realized that I like have choice. So now I like to choose, and I go maybe like 3 times a week. And that just feels like a really good balancing number for me because I still like go on walks other days or like go surfing or like hike or do active things. But in terms of like gym, Pilates, spin class, I would say those are like my 3 that I go to. Or I do Pilates at home on YouTube with Pilates with Nicole. Those are like my 4.
She's amazing.
Yes, we love her. That creates choice. And then usually like I've been trying in the beginning of the week to be like, like what classes do I want to go to? But sometimes that doesn't even work out. And I just need to be like, okay, maybe I didn't make it to that class. But for me, devotion doesn't look like being like, oh, well, I didn't make it to that class, so now I'm gonna feel bad about myself and give up today. It's like, no, devotion looks like, okay, well, we didn't make it to that class at 7:30 this morning. That was a little early for us, but let's get up and let's do Nicole. Like, let's get up and let's take our dog on a really long walk. Like, let's get up and do something different, even if it's not the exact same thing. And that creates choice while still getting the thing done that helps my mental health, if that makes sense. Yeah, so definitely habits and health and movement is a big one for devotion and discipline.
I just thought about something, like maybe the reason why we're having such a hard time explaining like what it means to live in our feminine is because it's like otherworldly, and we're trying to define it with like a masculine human term.
No, literally. Actually, though, it feels so strange and otherworldly and hard to explain and hard to put our finger on. And sometimes I also think it's because the path just isn't laid out. Like the path is just not laid out in the past. Like we just don't have the blueprint, so we have to be the blueprint, which is like beautiful, and I'm grateful, but also like so daunting. And I'm like, okay, my daughter's gonna be so lucky I paved this path for her.
No, for real though, like it is like that. And like you just mentioned something that is so out of love. And like I was driving today just thinking about like, oh, I can't wait to make more money so I can take my grandma out for some like dinner.
No, literally.
I'm like, that was so cute, Bianca. Like, yes. But then you know what? The clock back, it was when you were like, okay, what are you doing? Is it out of fear or is it out of love? And like, it's a feeling. I think devotion, what I'm getting at is like this feeling. It's like in your body, whereas discipline is more like in your mind.
So true.
And I mean, like, I do think it's like that gentle, like that dance that like every person really needs to navigate with, but it's just like this world right now is much more from the mind and the masculine. And so like no wonder like so few of us have like really been around and practiced what the feminine would feel like in our day.
Exactly. No, it's honestly, I like everything you just said. I was just like, I know I'm having so many things click right now. I'm like, I'm gonna need like the notes on this episode. So I can like go back and like dive into all, because I'm like
downloads.
I feel like we're just getting into this whole crazy world where I'm also realizing other people don't, not saying other people, but maybe like past generations didn't, not that maybe they didn't have the opportunity to, but there wasn't as much like of a yearning to like change it and figure it out. I think that's just like something that like we were born into this world to do, and like our souls like signed up for that mission. of rebalancing the world from this place of toxic masculinity back to the center. And I feel like, yeah, because I look back and I'm like, but why hasn't the path been laid out yet? Like, this is obviously an issue, and it probably has been an issue for women for so long. Ever since the patriarchy, like, bring back the matriarchy, bring back circles and not pyramids. But I just think that, yeah, like, sorry, so much is coming up for me in my brain right now. I'm just like, wow, why didn't it happen before? Because this has always been an issue. But I'm like, our souls really did sign up for this mission. And I do feel that like so strongly right now that this is part of both of our paths. And that's why we're like faced with the challenge.
Absolutely. And like so much of what you shared is like exactly what I need right now in my life, because I am like actively working on trying to live more by devotion and not so much discipline, because I've grown up with my family all entrepreneurial, but I've worked so hard and out of like survival, it almost feels like constantly. And I want to try and break that for my and for me and like my kids one day, you know, like to not have to think so much about that. And it's amazing. It doesn't even matter how much money you come from. Like I have my like a connection that he is like comes from so little, like, and he's like, divine timing, baby, like money is gonna come, money's gonna go. And I'm like, the fact that you can have this, whereas I know I have more money than you and you can do that. I'm like, you're teaching me so much right now. Like,
no, it's so true. And
you know,
I think people who are like, it's the survival mode, like it can either like keep you stuck or it can transform you into like realizing we are so much more than that. And that abundance is just so much more than we have been taught that it is, you know, like, and how it can actually just come out of anywhere, like randomly. And yeah, no, I relate so much even to like the money thing. And like, because I know, when I think about like my productivity guilt and I think about like the part of myself that's disciplined, and like, I do know that can come from like scarcity as well. You know, for me, that place of scarcity and being like, I know that I really like to live a certain type of lifestyle. So I really need to make a lot of money in this life.
Girl, same. That's what I feel.
And what that can like create, that headiness, that masculine, that discipline, and that lack and that scarcity versus like that deep knowing of devotion is just like, oh, if I keep moving forward, like I know all the abundance is flowing in, not just gifts, but also and money, but like there's so many other forms of abundance to receive in, and that devotion kind of comes from that place of trusting that is happening as long as we follow that path. But damn, like money is so interesting. I even like said to my partner today, I like had a good cry because he comes from a really great financial background with his family, and I would say mine is more like mid, but like I definitely have like supported myself since I was like 19, but I was like supported up until then, which like I know some of my friends like weren't. So I feel like that when you're like younger and you're facing scarcity and you're like 13, 14 and you're having to work, like, I feel like that creates a whole different like deep rooted mindset that people like in survival mode, you know, that can be really hard. So I feel lots of blessed in some ways, but I still was like feeling kind of triggered. And I'm like, wow, like what would I be able to do if I had like anything and I could just be like, oh, like I'm flying to LA like tomorrow so that I can have this guest on, and just like feeling like so free, like financially, like I feel like that's something that's coming up for me right now. So it's crazy that you brought that with the devotion and discipline, because I do feel like it is connected, because it's like that scarcity versus abundance, baby. And like, oh, like I'm trying to figure out how to learn to just like trust, because I've always had everything I've ever needed. And so I'm like, why would I still feel scarcity? But I think, there's just this training in our human brain with society to like have more and need more. It's just crazy because it is like a mindset. Like you said, someone can have like so little and like still like have such devotion and such trust and such flow. And someone could have like so much support and still not feel that. So
thank you so much for sharing that, because I think each of us will have different areas of our life that we have either been like blessed in having amazing mindsets and good belief systems, but then there's going to be others that are like so not there. And you're kind of feeling like you're building it from scratch. But when you have nothing to really hold on to, like no wonder it's like scarcity. It's like, we're trying to figure out what even is abundant and throwing it in that category. Like when I think of like good communication with my partner, like didn't really see a lot of that when I grew up. And I'm like, I'm still building that. I in the past have like had a lot of like resistance and like frustration, being like, I wish that I had been like born into like this. But I don't think everybody has everything. And
Yeah.
it's good to know like how exciting it is to like build this for ourselves and like all the lessons that like only you will learn because you were put in that situation. I know it's like easier said than done, and I definitely don't always
No,
feel
it's
that
so
way.
true.
But it's like
No,
there's
yeah.
no even way I would even be here if I hadn't gone through or like been given not the ideal in all areas of that my life.
Totally. Honestly, yeah, certain circumstances in life create like the life you're meant to live. Like it's definitely your wounding creates your wisdom. Like I definitely believe that like whatever our karma is on our path to like actually what is best for us at the end of the day. And yeah, just proud of us for consciously moving through it because not everybody is. And I know if people are listening to this episode, like they're the type of person to consciously move through it. And I think that's how you really alchemize and transform it. You can't just be like unconscious to it. Of course, people do go through so much transformation unconsciously, like because they have no idea and they don't have that relationship with themselves. But I think it's really cool that we're like looking at it and consciously being like, okay, like this is part of it.
I feel like we could literally yap forever because I love
Literally.
talking to you. The
Same.
last question that is on theme for She Breaks Barriers that I ask every guest, and it doesn't need to relate to
Okay.
this at all. Is there a barrier that you're currently breaking in your life right now, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever feels
Yeah.
aligned to you in that moment? And you can like take
That's a
a second
good
to think about it.
question. That's
Yeah,
such a
take a
good
second to think about it.
question. Okay. Definitely, I know what it is, honestly. I feel like right now the barrier that I'm breaking is codependence. And I feel like that's something that has always come up for me. And especially in my long term relationship that I'm in, it's just like interesting because he's been gone for a couple weeks and you know, I feel like I've been really like returning to myself and I it's not because the relationship isn't what I want because that's something for a second I was like, whoa, like having like OCD relationship like thoughts where I was just like, if I'm feeling this way, does this mean I need to not be with this person? Like you
Yeah,
I don't know if you get that, but when you're in a
all the
relationship for
time.
so long, you're like
Literally all the time.
constantly questioning, but it's
Yeah.
like not even, but it's more that I had self abandoned. Like it's nothing that my partner did. My partnership actually supports me in like my career and my life. And like he is like such a good person for me. And at the same time, because of my own codependency, and of mine like fear of being alone or I don't know just what I developed growing up like I sometimes rather lose myself in somebody else so I don't have to be responsible for my own life and I think
Mm.
it's a self-reflection of like okay I actually love my independence but also how do I find my independence within the relationship because I do want to be with somebody for the rest of my life and like whether that's my partner or not like if I don't heal this with them it's going to be in the next one so it's like
Yeah.
the codependency is me. It's within me. No, it's not even in the relation. It's like within me, and I just realized I'm reclaiming my independence and being like learning to move from that place of like, okay, I'm not being independent because I feel like I have to, and it's a punishment, but because I actually fucking love hanging out with myself and doing whatever I want and like having choice and like I don't know. I also think I'm the type of person that in a relationship, like, yeah, because I can lose myself, I can also base my life around somebody. And I think I am getting a really big wake up call with my partner being gone that I have done that this year, particularly just in terms of like making my life and my schedule around his because of like we both have our own individual dreams. Yeah, like that realization that I've just like self abandoned in certain ways. So it's like, independently I need to be like I need to not self-abandon anymore. I need to like prioritize myself even if it's without like him like directly around like I need to be able to leave when I want and do whatever I need to do. But also I'm also realizing I need a partnership that also like is realizes how big my dreams are and also realizes that like them supporting me is like a fucking investment because like I'm about to be a billionaire with this shit. I get codependent when I don't feel supported because I feel like I'm like trying to like reach for the support and that's when like the codependency like I start giving in but I'm like oh but if I don't even have to do that like if you're just doing it anyway then like I don't have to go outside of myself and I can stay independent
Yeah.
so I don't
Gosh.
know that's like on a personal level what I've been breaking barriers around is codependency to independency and just like choosing my fucking dreams.
I love that. Thank you
Thanks for therapy.
so much for sharing that. I relate to you on so many levels. That's just crazy. My partner and I are like almost 5 years. Very, very similar. The difference is I'm hyper independent.
Okay, yeah. I
Very.
feel like I am at I like being gone. I'm like, I don't even think, like, I literally forget he exists when he's not here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you exist? Like, I love being hyper
Yeah.
independent, but then I get lost. And then, but I like being independent. Like, that's what I realized this
Yeah.
week. I was like, I feel myself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what is it for you? Is your partner more the codependent?
I think that it's still like we're figuring out our dreams in general, like our dreams and how to make sure that we're both supporting each other's dreams so that neither one of us are kind of the block as to why they would not be able to achieve it, you know? And like always, I've told my sister this always, like, no matter how like in love you are, like always have that level of detachment, not just for yourself, but also for them. Saw something recently that was like so real. It was like 1 + 1 is not two, it's 11. We're like, you're not like meshing together. You are like together. And like
Yes.
make sure that who you are is not changing for your partner and like vice versa. I definitely feel like he might be more of like the codependent in my life because like I just like I don't know, like I've just like always been alone until him and did my own. I always come back to like if it's meant to be, like we will make it work. Like you would just make it work and like that mindset will just like snap into place for it when it really comes to those moments being like I'm doing this, like are you coming, are you not coming?
I guess that
And
is so
so
the
far
vibe.
every time came they kept coming, you know, like
Totally. And
so
I think I have to remind myself like my partner does want to do that for me. I just sometimes like get in like the, oh, but you have so much going on, so I'm not gonna, but then I'm like, wait, no, it's me. It's not even him, it's me. Like it's me not being like, okay, I'm going. You can come if you want or not come if you don't want, you know? And like I think that's the energy I need to have. I'm like, life coach, help me. I'm like, I need to get on that vibe. I need to drink some of that water that you're taking, that hyper independence, honestly, and just being like, I'm coming. Are you going? Are you coming with me?
I feel like this has been the theme of 2025. Like I've had conversations with every single one of my friends about like relationships and like we're also in our 20s and I collectively think so many of us are dreaming really big because
Yeah.
we know this is like the best time to be able to do something so big like
Yep.
thank you guys so much for listening to that, Kayla. Like you were incredible. I love everything that you said. Maybe you can just share like where people can find you and your podcast so that they
Yes.
can go right to that after and check out what I
Yeah.
was talking about in my university
Yeah.
apartment.
Literally. Okay. So skinny dipping on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, if you want to go back in the day. But right now I'm new to YouTube. So the Art of Devotion, which is like, you know, a episode that could be paired after this one. If you want to like keep diving deeper into this topic, you can always go watch the video on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts for the audio. And then you can find me at Sundays KK on all platforms. And my name is Kela Rose. So it's Kela and then Rose. So it's spelled a little bit differently, but if you look that up, you can definitely find all my things. And I also have an online community app where we do breath work, EFT tapping, Pilates, meditation, and there's classes. There's also a feed and a place for you to like share what's going on in your life. It's just a really sweet soul in progress community. So that's where you can find me. And thank you so much, beautiful, for having me on. Like genuinely, you are so brilliant. And I literally could have talked to you for like another hour probably.
Same here. Oh, thank you so much. I'll make sure to have all that into the description so that they can definitely see. Thank you all for listening to this episode with Kayla. It's actually a dream that I could connect with her. She's done such amazing work on her podcast in her community. If you did enjoy this episode, make sure to leave a comment. Join the community. Let's chat about it. And I will see you all next week.